now.
Nice. All right. So hello, everyone. Good morning. It is cold and dreary here in Rochester, New York, but I'm not complaining because there's great fall colors. And as Christine and I like to talk about a lot, there's pumpkin spice lattes. So
Wait.
We're happy.
Venti. It's a venti.
Nice. So I'm Sarah, and on my other side there is Christina, and we are each half of One Woman Shop, a resource hub and community for female solo business owners. We're joined here by two of those female solo business owners, so that's exciting. For anybody that's new to Blab, there's a chat box on the I guess it's my right side. Feel free to use that throughout the whole thing. After we kind of do an intro to the topic and whatnot, we'll actually open the other two seats here for anybody who wants to join so that we can keep this conversation going. And just so that you're slightly prepared, we will be asking for your take on the law of attraction. So excited to compare viewpoints. All right, Christina, do you want to kind of jump into our topic?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are talking about the law of attraction. Is there a bad echo?
No, not at all.
I hate hearing my voice. Is that better? Okay, so we are talking about the law of attraction, and we just kind of at random choose these topics for Blabs just based on stuff we're hearing. We obviously spend a ton of time online, so we just hear all this random stuff, and the law of attraction comes up over and over. So we figured, why not just kind of chat about it and loop it back to how it influences your solo business, or maybe it doesn't at all, if that's your perspective. So I think we'll be sharing a little bit about our opinions, and then again, like Sarah said, asking for yours. But a few caveats that this is just a dialogue. We're not claiming to be any kind of experts on the law of attraction. And so I'm sure we'll see some mixed opinions. But Sarah, my first question for you is, if you can, not throwing you under the bus, if you can't complete the sentence, but how would you summarize your view on the law of attraction in one or two sentences?
I would say, is that a sentence? Crap. The law of attraction to me is a fantastic idea, but alone it is not helpful to solo business owners. Again, my opinion.
I like it. So I was like jokingly thinking to myself before that a lot of people put on their blogs, they're like, this view does not, represent the views of my employer. But in our case, it totally does because we're our own employers. But so before we dive in too deep, I pulled up some definitions. Obviously, the first person is Wikipedia. Let's be real. That's a resource for everything. So in case anyone's unfamiliar with the law of attraction, it's basically the name given to the maxim, like attracts like, which in New Thought philosophy is used to sum up the idea that by focusing on positive or negative thoughts, a person brings positive or negative experiences into their life. And so it was made really popular by the first movie, then book, The Secret. And Sarah, you asked me if I'd ever read this, and the answer is no. The most work I've done with The Secret is through the TV show Pretty Wild, which is, have you seen this show?
No, I haven't.
It is a train wreck, and it is like probably the worst advertising for The Secret that you could possibly get, because these girls are just like complete messes, like they're thieves, but they like adhere to the law of attraction. So not a good advertisement. Yeah.
But it did remind you of the law of attraction and the book, The Secret. So, hey, any marketing is good marketing, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Another argument we can talk about later.
Yes. Next slide. So you say alone, it's not enough for solo business owners. So can you just go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, so I think that the two of us agree on this, and that is that the law of attraction to me basically oversimplifies what you need to do to make things happen as a human being, but specifically as a solopreneur. So when I say oversimplification, I mean in terms of the idea that you can sit and things will come to you just by positive thinking. Do I believe in positive thinking? Absolutely. Do I think it's important to our self-care, our well-being, our outlook on everything? Definitely. But my biggest thing, and this has always been how I felt throughout my entire life, is that you have to go out and get what you want, and you have to work for it. So I can go even further into what I believe that means, but I want to obviously get your take on it first.
So yeah, I've always, when people say good things come to those who wait, I'm like, really? Like, I don't know. I don't really believe that. I do think patience is important. It's a thing I'm working on. But yeah, so I obviously agree. We both wrote an oversimplification on our little blab notes. But I think the other thing that is really important to talk about is that I think a lot of people, it's almost like the Bible. People take the law of attraction and they interpret it in like 20 different ways. And you can take the same exact wording and one person can see it this way and another person can see it a completely different way. And so I think that that's kind of another caveat that we have to be aware of as we talk about the law of attraction is some people do say, like, you are in complete control of your life. It is 100% dependent on the law of attraction. And if negative things happen to you, that's your fault. But there's other people who are like, they believe in the law of attraction. They talk about the law of attraction, but in a much less 100%.
Absolutely.
way.
So I think and that's a really important thing to say is that a lot of times when I'm talking kind of against the idea of the law of attraction, it's based off of something I've read that is speaking to the point that law of attraction is all you need and positive thinking is all you need. To me, it's not black or white. It's not, you either have it or you don't. It can be a tool as long as you're using it as a tool, not an excuse, and as long as it's paired with hard work.
So I think it's interesting because you have mentioned like using the law of attraction as an excuse. And on the flip side, I think that sometimes people use it to victim blame. So I've done a lot of thinking about this in terms of sexual assault. And it ties into the law of attraction in the sense that a lot of people will say like, well, you attracted that, like you attracted the sexual assault or you attracted cancer. And I think some people won't say it that directly and that harshly, but I think sometimes there's even this unspoken sense that if you are in total control of the good stuff coming to you, I think the unspoken part is you're almost totally in control of the bad stuff that comes to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I totally see where you're going with that. And then, that begs the question of if you believe one, do you have to believe the other? And like you said, I completely agree in terms of when you're looking at situations outside of work, like sexual assault. I've heard that before too. You asked for it, okay, because you attracted it in some way. But I don't think that that to me is an excuse. Like it's still using it as an excuse for what happened, as opposed to,
right.
You went out and asked for it, which
right.
can be both a positive and a negative thing.
Yeah. That was really intense. Bringing in sexual assault and cancer into a solopreneur discussion. But I mean, I think that so many of the things that we talk about, the line, especially as solopreneurs, as we always talk about, the line between your business and your life is just very gray. And your business is your life and your life is your
right.
business. So it's interesting to talk about, like when we talk about meditation, we're not just talking about it for the benefit of your business. We're talking about it for the benefit of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing though, is that, so another way it can kind of be interpreted, because one thing that I do believe in is that you are kind of the sum of the people that you surround yourself with. I love that idea because I've always been majorly affected by the people around me, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing. And so that to me is another way to interpret, like you are basically creating the atmosphere around you, whether it's people or just where you are on a day-to-day basis. And that affects how things happen to you. But I still think it comes back to how you deal with things, how you respond, how you go out and actually react to it.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting because my mom uses this term porous. And so it's like, and it can be a positive or a negative thing, but it's basically like a little sponge, like you're kind of absorbing the emotions and thoughts of the people around you. So I love that phrase. Sorry, little interruption back here. So I feel like, okay, we have so many thoughts and so there's so many directions we could take this. But I guess, and I'd be curious if you feel the same way. when I think about the times in my life when I felt really positive and went out, not only felt positive, but went out and like acted on that positivity and found opportunities, I can't deny that good things came to me. And so that I feel like that's a whole nother conversation about luck and good things coming to you versus you working. But I guess in the sense, in like the purest sense of the law of attraction, yeah, like when I am in a good place, I attract good things. And when I am in a shitty negative place and being a little biatch, I don't get, like, good things don't come to me. Like, I don't attract awesome friends or awesome guys or awesome work opportunities. Like, it just doesn't happen. Is that your experience too?
Absolutely. One of my things when I do talk about how I use the law of attraction is that the way I see it, again, it's not about sitting still, but it is about creating the space. And that has a lot to do with your mental attitude or, the energy you're putting out there. But it's definitely about creating the space to have opportunities that you want arise and have your mind open to them. Because I feel like if you are in a really negative place where you're stressed, you're overwhelmed, you're not thinking positively, you can't be as open to opportunities and you will miss stuff. I do believe that because I believe that's really just like a cluttering of the mind. But again, I still think it's you're not just going to sit and have opportunities fall into your lap. But when you're in a better place mentally, you are more open to them because you might just notice them more.
Yes. Okay. So to this noticing point. So I was reading this Wikipedia article about the law of attraction, and it was like the criticism over the law of attraction is it's not scientific. Like you can't, basically that people self-select. When they talk about positive things happening through the law of attraction, they self-select those experiences, which is kind of obvious, but also really important to talk about. And so I wrote on the notes, it's like a diet or exercise plan. If you are paying attention to your diet or your exercise, you are probably going to see changes and you're probably going to relate that back and not blame, but you're going to credit the diet or exercise, right? And so by definition, it kind of works. And I think of the law of attraction like that. If you believe in the law of attraction, if you see great things happening in your life, you'll credit the law of attraction, which I think is fine. I don't think either of you or I has an issue with that.
Right? Correct.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, but I think like to your point of you start seeing the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Maybe getting the exact same amount, but all of a sudden your mind is honed in on the positive experiences.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. And really, so of course I'm going to refer to Thrive again because we love referring to Arianna Huffington and Thrive. But one of the sections of the book talks about coincidence. And so I couldn't help but think that when people refer to the law of attraction, a lot of times the way that I see them referring to it, I see those situations as serendipitous or coincidence. And so I don't believe that they are the norm. I think they're the exception. And I think that it's important to notice those things. But I don't think that just by sitting here and thinking positively, you can manifest them. So that's kind of my thought on that is that I do. And again, like when you talk about the law of attraction, it's really easy to sound like you are contradicting yourself. But again, it's because we fall on that spectrum of we don't necessarily say it doesn't exist, but we don't believe it should be the holy grail of your business.
Right.
And so that's where, I want to make it clear that, yes, I believe in coincidence. I believe that there are serendipitous occasions and we should pay attention to them. But again, I don't believe we can sit still and just make them happen by thinking about it.
Well, and to your point, so I was talking to my mom the other day and we were talking about her teaching and we were like, what if you, you took on private clients? And we had this long conversation about her taking on private clients. And that day she got an email from somebody, hadn't like no mention of potentially taking on private clients to this person, got an email from this person and was like, I want to take private classes with you. Then the next day she ran into one of her students who she had previously talked to about private classes. And so it's like, in some ways it doesn't matter. In some ways this whole conversation doesn't actually matter. Like, who cares if that's a total coincidence? Who cares? Like in Big Magic, the book we're reading for book club, with Elizabeth Gilbert, she talks about an idea presents itself and then it presents all these coincidences to keep your attention. So maybe it's that idea, maybe it's the law of attraction, maybe my mom thinking about it kind of attracted those people. But it's like, I don't know, there's something, the word magical just seems a little woo-woo to me, but there's something really cool when you start talking about an idea and all of a sudden these things just start presenting themselves.
Yeah, but again, I think it goes back to once that idea is planted, you are more open and receptive to things that relate to it. To give like a business example, I've always believed that when one door closes, another one opens. And again, I think it goes back to having the space to make the opportunities work. And so every time I've been at a point as a solopreneur where I've lost a client or fired a client because it's just not working out, there's always that moment of panic because you're like, how am I going to replace this income? How am I going to, keep building my business, whatever it might be, whatever the fear is there. But I almost always believe that once that door has closed, you will find another opportunity. But I still, again, believe it's because you've suddenly created the space for it.
Right. Yeah, because you've created a website, you've collaborated, like is that what you kind of attribute it back to?
Yeah. In fact, it was, at the time that I initially reached out to you about One Woman Shop, that was literally because I had just started freelancing and I was looking at the types of clients I could work with. I could have went in a certain direction. I didn't. And because I didn't, I kept the space open and I reached out to you. I still had to go out and get it, but I had the space and I wasn't overwhelmed or stressed or any of the things that would have closed me off to the opportunity, essentially.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Cool.
I have all the ideas I already wrote down and now my mind is just roaring with new ideas. Do you think that maybe we should open some seats and see what other people?
Yes. I see we have a couple awesome people here. Ladies or gents, I can't really see in the little boxes up there. If you'd like to join, just request the seat there. I forget, they changed what it said.
We have a request.
Yes. Yes. Kirsten.
Yes, son. I'm going to lock the other seat for now, but we might open it up.
Hello,
Good
Kirsten.
Morning.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So everyone, this is Kirsten. Kirsten, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself for those who aren't familiar?
Yeah, I'm a freelance writer and a life coach. I don't do one-on-one coaching, though I create workbooks for self-coaching, coach yourself workbooks. They're called Tools for Better. Basically just providing the tools to make your life better in however direction you want to take it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Where are you joining us from today, Kirsten? Will you share that? Vancouver, nice.
Yeah.
And it's bright and early, right? 8 a.m.?
I just said Vancouver. I don't know why I said that. Merritt.
It's just out here. And also, I am a One Woman Shop member, and I love it.
Awesome. Thank you.
We didn't bring her on to say great things.
All right.
Okay. Our prompt that we figured for anyone who grabs a seat, so anyone else listening who's thinking about grabbing a seat, Elizabeth, you can start preparing your one sentence. But Kirsten, if you can tell us in one sentence, two if you need it, your view on the law of attraction.
I don't think it's black and white. I do think there is some merit to it. And I think that we probably, for a lot of the situations, we have more and less control over how we want the outcome to be, because there's always external factors that come into play, but also we have more control than we think we do because we can just say no.
Oh my gosh. That's a tweetable. Can you tell us, when you talk about external factors that kind of influence our level of control or our perception of that, what are you referring to? What have you seen?
Well, I mean, you don't know how other people are going to react, right? I mean, there's always, you can wish as much as you want, but what if that other person, like if you believe positive things will come to you when you think positively, what if the person that you're trying to win over or, get as a client, just think the law of attraction is total BS? What if they, like, you can't always influence what other people do. So you really need to concentrate on yourself and work for what you want.
I love that you just presented like a massive paradox. Like, okay, if I'm sitting here thinking positively about a certain situation or a certain person, and they are sitting there thinking the opposite, how do those things work off of each other? That's a great way to think about it.
I do think, though, that, how we present, like, I'm a big believer in how we present ourselves in our own business. Those are the kinds of clients we are going to attract because we are open to it. Like you said, there's, we keep safe space for those. Like, one example, my husband used to work for a company. They always had problems with getting people to pay their invoices. Like, they had huge, outstanding invoices. And knowing the owner, he was somebody who would always go out of town to get the best deal somewhere else. He would not support any businesses in town. And, he was kind of, a cheapskate. So, I mean, he attracted the kind of clients who just wanted to get a good deal and then, had trouble paying. And I think that really, how you present yourself, that really does make a difference in who comes and does business with you.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say in our experience with One Woman Shop, it's not foolproof, but I would say a huge majority of the members that we have were like, yep, like that's the member we wanted. And it's not, it's not location. It's not necessarily age. It's this, like, you're fun. You like to work hard. It's just this kind of, hopefully we're attracting people based on, the way we talk about One Woman Shop. So we attracted you. So.
And I think that nowadays, it's also easier to find like-minded people with the internet. Like, it didn't used to be that easy. And now it just kind of adds a whole nother layer to say, okay, you're out there on Facebook or wherever, and you see people talking about the same thing, having the same opinions as you. So it's easier to connect with those kinds of people and just kind of, creates this dynamic.
Yeah, so I have to ask a question there then, because I think that, like you said, it's a lot easier to find those people, but I also then find myself subscribing to those blogs, getting on those email lists, and then I'm almost afraid that I am closing my mind off to the opposite. Do you ever fear that by thinking in one vein and trying to put off a certain, I can never say that word, aura, whatever it is, do you think that we actually close ourselves off to new opportunities or new people that could actually help us?
I think, I think things change all the time. So maybe, for a short amount of time, you're totally focused on something. Like, I get that way. Like, I have to admit, I get tired of stuff, like, really fast. Like, you're attracted to certain people and you think, well, that's great. And you read their stuff, like, you know what, it's always the same shit. I'm done with this. I'm ready to move on. So I think it's kind of, you kind of grow personally and you evolve and you move on to other things. And I think that's kind of how the whole thing keeps going, because there are millions of blogs out there, and it's yours to explore that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, so and we'll release you in a minute unless you have additional comments. But I just wanted to refer back in the chat. Shannon said something very interesting. She said, "Your thought/feelings are yours. Theirs are theirs, as in they belong to the other people. We connect to people who are on the same current." And I was actually talking to my mom about this because I just talk to my mom a lot apparently. But we were saying how someone had told her once, she's like, people like who need to find each other vibrate on the same frequency. And that's like an extremely, like, whether you believe that or not, I do think that there's something that there's no logical reason that Sarah and I should have found each other. Like, Rochester, like, we have really not that much in common in terms of our backgrounds, our locations, but somehow maybe we vibrated onto the same frequency. Who knows?
There's probably some truth to that too. I mean, coming back to what you said earlier about closing ourselves off. Think about, who you find and who you follow and start reading their stuff. And some people stick and some don't. And I think that's just, you kind of, because in the end, it is sort of superficial. You only, get what you kind of see on the internet. But is it, when you go a little bit deeper, I think that's kind of when you start making a real connection or not, and then you move on.
Definitely. Video helps for sure.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and open up the other seat. And
Yeah, you're welcome to stay if you want, Kirsten, unless
I'll
you...
skip out because I have to run to a meeting, but it was great being on with you. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in.
yeah.
Bye.
Okay.
All right, so, ooh, Elizabeth, I like to see. And we've got Coach Jenny pretty active over there. Our favorite quote from her is that the law of attraction is a crock. So we'll invite her in later if she wants to join us to talk about that. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hi there. How are you?
You're looking and sounding great.
Situating myself.
Lovely.
This
I
is
almost
such
wore
an
my glasses today.
so cute. It's such an interesting topic. I like what Sarah was talking about earlier. That's more in line with how I look at it, is that and I think of it as more like in line with like a hero's journey. So you have to jump first, and then the universe will rise up to meet you. Like Joseph Campbell says that, doors will appear where there were no doors before. So when you put that energy out there, again, I'm using woo-woo words, but when you put yourself out there, that's when you get met. And I was just thinking about like you guys, like I'm just sitting like, doing Mashable on my phone, and then I see you, and then, I see a post or a, article that you guys got put on there. And then, it's like when the student is ready, the teacher appears. Like that is the moment where it was like, oh, this is exactly what I need. This is the moment. Whereas if 6 months ago, 2 months prior to that, it would not have resonated as much because I was ready.
Yeah, so it's really about kind of where you are mentally, and especially in our businesses, because we evolve so quickly and things change so quickly. Like you said, one thing that really resonates now might not have meant anything to us a month ago, right?
Exactly. And that resonate, I love that word. Like that's the word for me, because it's like if it's resonating with me, then that's the direction I want to go in. That feels like it's true to me.
Elizabeth, can you tell people real quick what you do?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, I just jumped right in, didn't I?
That's what we always do. We forget to introduce ourselves.
I got so excited. I am a therapist, and I work with women one-on-one. I think the best way to say what I do is that I help women remove the unconscious blocks to their greatness and to their voice, and help them remove those wounds or those painful aspects of their lives. So, and the reason I got on One Woman Shop is I started doing YouTube videos. And so that is helping me, expand and push myself out there.
Yes. And
love these videos.
Calls those her advanced lessons in personal growth. I'm actually going to throw a link in there, but Christina, I'll let you ask Elizabeth some more questions.
Yeah. So I'm curious on your perspective of this. I find in my life, when I feel like I'm in a very good place, I can say things like, I attracted good opportunities and I put myself out there. And my point is, when you're in a good place, it is a lot easier to give credit to things falling into place. So my question for you is, how do you deal when you're not in a good place?
That is actually such a great question, because there's two things I want to say about that. One is with people who are into, like it's just law of attraction, it's just positivity, that can be painful when you are in a bad place, because it'll just immediately you can beat yourself up for like, oh, well, I'm not being positive. So, I've attracted this, whatever. And so, the reality is sometimes we're going to be in a bad place, and, a painful place, a hard place. And, and just my thing is more than anything else, I trust the process. And so I would say in the bad place, sometimes it's hard, or the sad place or the low place, it's hard to find the windows or the doors. And I just trust the bad place at that time, and just know that there's going to be another point where I will be receiving, or I will be able to find the places where I will be, supported by life. But I'll just trust like, I guess we have to do this now. I guess we have to process this, or whatever this is. But one of the things I was thinking about when you were talking about this, your mom's emails, is sometimes when somebody's just like, I just live by the law of attraction, is that what they're doing is living by the confirmation bias. So they'll mention the one email, but they won't mention the other 25, 30 emails they got, that those were also part of the email. And so like, or if you make a vision board, you know, like you'll say, it came, you know, my vision board came true because I got an iPhone. But they're leaving out the part where they didn't go to the Ritz, or they didn't, you know, get that dog, or they didn't, you know what I mean? And so, and that's fine, but it's like, for me, I just want a more organic, holistic view of that. I mean, I make vision boards because they're really fun, and it just helps me, you know, make choices in my life. Oh, is this vision board in line with the choices that I'm making today? Not because I, you know, want that, you know, new bed or whatever, but sometimes you get that bed. It just happens that way, you know? And that's really, to me, that's just cool. Yeah. Like, it's just like so exciting when that happens. When it lands like that, it's just like, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
Yes, no, I completely agree. So when you're talking about the process is what takes into account everything that went into it, right? And that's what you feel is missing from a lot of the things we read.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think you made a really good point about kind of when we're in those valleys, the low points, the sad points, the slow points. Christina and I have definitely seen this, where we get to that point where we're burnt out or tired, we're not motivated, and we think like this is it. And it's not necessarily that we've manifested that because we're thinking negatively. We just have to accept that that's going to happen. There's going to be the ebbs and flows, and we'll come out of it.
Absolutely. And it's like, it's part of being human.
Yeah.
Like, you can't live in just a happy place. That's not normal.
Right.
It's just not, it doesn't exist. We have to have the times of our life where we, you know, there's like a reset button, or a time for us to reflect, or a time for us to process. It's not, I mean, I wouldn't say that's a person that's mentally healthy, because it's like there's some sort of false cheerfulness going on.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we actually have, as another blab topic, we'll be definitely talking about kind of motivation, the ebbs and flows. And John here just said the process is the mountains and valleys and all that happens. And I think I think Sarah and I'll speak for both of us, we're at this point where we're trying to get extremely comfortable with those down periods, and knowing that there's always another up. And so actually, to give credit to Steph of Art to Self, she used a phrase that we both love, and it's rest in the valley. And so, yeah, I know we'll have to do a whole another feature on that. But yeah, just getting really comfortable with those down periods, and knowing that it's not that, like Sarah said, it's human nature. It's not that you're a total slacker.
Well, and for me, there's information in that time. There's valuable information in that time. There's whatever's going on in there. I mean, as long as we're using our tools, staying somewhat conscious, you know, as long as I don't crawl into the refrigerator and eat everything in there, you know, as long as it's not a complete, you know, going unconscious. But again, sometimes that happens too. But that's where you have, in the positive times, that's where you set up your systems. And I mean, even your support systems. Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's like people will start missing you and be checking on you, and, you know, all that.
Yeah. Well,
go ahead.
Go for it, Sarah.
I was just going to ask, kind of, when you talk about systems and process, what can people do in those high points to be ready for those low points, besides, you know, changing their positive thinking?
I think that it's just an acknowledgement. For me, it's just like, oh, I'm just so happy. Like, it's like, oh, I'm here again. I'm back. I'm doing all this. But having an understanding that this is also probably temporary, that you can't just keep running the marathon. You have to rest. You have to use nutrition. You have to, and sometimes the greatest marathoner in the world will not be able to finish. I saw that at the last Olympics. And so, it is just planning those things, whatever it is, like doing your daily routines or whatever that is. And even in the down times, like making yourself do those same routines that work for you. What I do is like when I'm in a terrible place, like I have a list, like what are the things that I know? It's like, oh, I have to go for a walk. Oh, I just do not want to. And you just, oh God, you just go out the door and I hate this. I hate trees. I hate the sky. But you do it anyway because you know that at the end of that walk, you might feel better. But sometimes you don't. It's like, okay, now I have to, get my journal and oh God, like this is just awful. Oh, I just hate every minute of this. But you do it anyway because you know those are the things that are going to get you back.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to very much like what Christina was saying. Instead of looking at it, like I said the word excuse, Christina used kind of being the victim of it. And that's what I think we can get into those ruts and feel like a victim instead of looking at it as part of the process.
Yeah,
absolutely. For me, that's one of the greatest things about having done my own personal work for so long. It's just like, I know it is part of the process, that the work is not about staying on the path. The work is about, you are going to fall off the path. 100%. That is happening. It is on our way for each of us. The work is getting back on.
Yeah. Cool. Well, we really appreciate you joining us. And it's a little preview.
Thank you so much.
Your insight is really much appreciated.
Preview what you can find in your YouTube videos. So you're welcome to stick around, but we'd actually love to call in Jenny. We don't have too much more time because we don't want to hold you guys all morning, even though we totally could. But I am leaving the seat open for Jenny if you're still around and want to join us.
Yes, Jenny was the star of a YouTube video that we love sharing with One Woman Shop that was very much about the opposite of the law of attraction. But still, I think she falls on that spectrum of you work for it and you get there, but you do have some power over what you make happen just by creating some space.
So I would say, Jenny, hi, Jenny.
I cannot believe you're inviting me into this blab, ladies. What's wrong with
Why?
Are we going to get scolded afterwards?
No, not going to get scolded. I don't do that. I'm not a wagging finger. I still can't believe. I really was just interested, and I can't believe you're inviting me to a law of attraction blab. That's
okay. Well, so I think that the thing is that this is, like we said, a big conversation, and it's not about you need to adopt the law of attraction and then all your problems will be solved, finger wagging. But I think that we both obviously refer to your post a lot, but I think that it's almost clickbaity in a good way, in the sense that you don't actually, I'll let you explain it more, but you're not actually saying, like, if you believe in the law of attraction, you're an idiot. You're saying, no, I don't. Find what works for you. Is that a good summary?
Close, yeah. I mean, I think that if you said to give one sentence, Sarah already said my sentence, the one sentence would be, no, it's okay. The law of attraction is a crock, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I think I only have 2 ever clients who have paid to work with me and were attracted to work with me that don't believe in the law of attraction. I mean, most people believe in the law of attraction. I wish I believed in the law of attraction because it feels good, doesn't it? So when you guys were talking about the law of attraction, I watch with complete jealousy that it feels good to be like, oh yeah, Sarah and I somehow connected on the same vibration when you were talking. There's something special there. I think it's cool. I don't believe that there's something special or cosmic or something that happened that made it happen. I wish I did believe it because it would feel so yummy, right? And so I do feel some jealousy around the fact, and I faked it for a while. Just so hard to like admit, especially on camera. But I faked it for a while that I believed in the law of attraction. And I believe there are a lot of other coaches faking it too, because it's the ultimate groupthink topic of coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so
is that we have to believe that.
I have to ask a question then. When you talk about your clients and how, maybe two of them don't really believe in this, why do you think that they come to you? Because I know for me, disclaimer, Jenny is my business coach. I'm probably one of those people who doesn't believe in the law of attraction.
Yep. You're one of the two. You are.
And I wanted somebody that was going to push me and that wasn't going to be a cheerleader. And that was my reason for coming to you. But for somebody that does believe in the law of attraction, why do they want that audacious coach who's going to give you those cathartic shoves?
Because they've gotten, well, and this is going to sound snide, but they've gotten all of the woo that they need from other places that feels good. And when they work with me, they're coming for something different. They're coming for something to get them into gear. They're coming to learn how to be tenacious, learn how to be more confident, learn how to make their ambitions happen. That's what I do, right? And without the woo. Now they can layer on the woo if that supports them. I'm all for it, right? And I'm saying the woo in this kind of flippant way. I don't mean to be flippant at all. This is me being silly, okay? I say it in a silly, fun way. But many people are like, okay, I know you don't believe this, Coach Jenny, but here's how I'm attracting it. And that's fine. I can speak this language and it's about them, not about me. And so I find that's what's really interesting. I am an atheist and I do not proselytize atheism because that would be the opposite of being an atheist, right? So I don't have any atheist clients to my knowledge ever. Everybody has a different belief system. And so I guess my whole thing that really bothers me about the law of attraction talks, which is why I was really excited you guys are not doing this, is often it's a proselytizing of, if you believe this, then you will be successful. And if you didn't believe enough, that's why you're not successful. It's usually because you didn't do enough.
Mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with your belief. So thank you for saying that.
I guess I feel like you're kind of alluding to this, but I'm always wary of somebody who says this one thing is everything, the be all and end all. That freaks me out in business and in life. I'm like we say, our huge thing is business isn't one size fits all. So how on earth can it be one solution for everybody? So.
Yeah. And that's, Jenny, I know I'm guilty of this all the time in our coaching sessions, and that's all or nothing thinking. And that's where I think the law of attraction can get you into trouble. If it is part of your all or nothing thinking, where it's, I'm going to sit here and manifest all the, and I love the word manifest, by the way, so I hate that I'm constantly using it in this context. But
I used to love it too, but because it's like hanging out with the word authenticity. It doesn't even mean anything anymore.
Yeah, so it's really about like that feeling of, I'm just going to sit here and make it happen by thinking about it, as opposed to going out and getting it, asking for it, working for it. And it doesn't have to be black or white, all or nothing. It's finding that right mix that works for you.
Exactly. And we can enjoy coincidences, like you were saying earlier, Sarah. It's like, oh my God, what a cool coincidence. For example, I bought a Mini Cooper recently. Very proud of my little Mini Cooper. And guess what? I'm noticing Mini Coopers everywhere. Is that the law of attraction, or just the fact that my eyeballs are noticing Mini Coopers everywhere? Because the truth is, I'm no longer noticing Honda Elements, but when I bought a Honda Element 10 years ago, I noticed those.
Yeah.
That's not the law of attraction, people. That is simply your eyeballs paying attention to what's going on. You're not attracting more people driving your way with a Mini Cooper. So it's a coincidence, and it's lovely, and it's fine, and I wave at my Mini Cooper friends, and I'm not missing anything. So one of the things that comes up in coaching circles, when I talk about the law of attraction, I say it's a crock. I freak people out often because you're supposed to believe in this. And that's where that all or nothing thinking really becomes ugly. So I love when people have tools that really work for them. Some people really work, affirmations like really work for them. Some people, a vision board is their jam. Some people, journaling is the best thing since sliced bread. None of those things really work for me, right? So I have to find my own things. And what I do in my coaching practice isn't tell people, here's how you do it. If you just wear a hat that looks like this, you will be successsul, right? Like, it's not that, like, I don't tell you what you have to do. I co-create it with you. So for Sarah, we have a sticky note thing, right? And, like, you got to figure out what the thing is. And that's what it's all about. So.
I think back to your point of like, I used to keep a gratitude journal, and I'd write down 3 things every night that I was grateful for, and I felt more grateful. Well, of course I felt more grateful. I'm focusing on gratitude. Like I could have been doing one of 10 different actions, but I'm focusing on it. So therefore I'm going to credit that thing for my success, which again, not a problem. Like that, if that's working for you, great.
Mm-hmm.
We're all in agreement on that one, right?
Yeah. Totally in agreement there. Yes. If it works for you, and that's the thing, if it works for you, it's really important. I actually coach coaches who also work on law of attraction with their clients. And you know what I love about that? Instead of this like attracts like thing, sometimes opposites attract.
Yeah.
In fact, often in science, opposites attract, right? So that's kind of wonderful because I like to be coached and I like to be supported by people who don't always agree with me and have another perspective because it challenges my thinking. Yeah. So I think the people that are really grooving and moving are people that are open to new ideas, which is why somebody who truly doesn't believe in the law of attraction is showing up to this call, because I'm always keeping my mind open to, hey, I might learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and thank you for joining us.
You're so welcome. Bye, ladies. Thanks for inviting me.
Have a good morning.
Whatever time it is.
Yeah. Morning, afternoon. Awesome. Well, we are going to wrap up relatively soon, but if anyone wants to grab the last seat real quick, we can definitely throw some questions at you. If you have any insights about the law of attraction you really want to share.
Jenny says seats are locked, so we probably have to open a seat for them to do that.
If they're unlocked. Or if anyone has any questions, thanks, Jenny. If anyone has any questions, definitely feel free. I definitely see some great chats going on the right-hand side. So
yeah. I'm just hovering over here. So the Baka journey, I don't even know if I'm saying that right or not seeing your name there, but you shared that inspired action is a key piece. I think that's awesome. And the definition there is the willingness to ask what needs to be done and when inner guidance, and then to follow through based on that inner direction. So I love that. But hello.
Hi.
And new guest, do you want to introduce yourself?
From afar as well. So I love that you guys are doing this. Thank you.
Oh,
sorry, I missed the first part of that. What was that?
I've been stalking you guys from afar.
Good.
Pretty much everybody in the sidelines know that I stalk people before I jump in their hot seats. Yeah, Jenny, seriously, look outside your window. Put some pants on, Jenny. So,
no, you only have to be dressed from the top up on. We're good.
I actually have pants on today, but I am wearing these awesome slippers. So
I have my mucklucks on.
Nice.
So I'm sort of in between you guys and Jenny on this, and because I don't feel that my job actually requires me to have any sort of belief in one way or another, because I'm not a coach, I'm a consultant. Okay. But I deal with coaches on a pretty daily basis, and I'm dealing with people who are either praying to God for things or, trying to manifest things or have said that they've manifested things. And Jenny's been party to this conversation before, where I truly believe that you are driving a car. So when we want to manifest things, we're headed in that direction. We've decided we're going in that direction. So the idea that you may, Jenny, stop.
Jenny's being sassy. People watching the replay.
Driver. I don't even have a car.
No, I'm liking this metaphor.
Yeah, I want this metaphor.
Okay. So when you first take driver's ed and they say keep your eye on the road, wherever your eye goes, that's where the car's going to go. And so if you look to the side, oh look, there's a deer over there. All of a sudden you'll realize that you're like on this side, things are like, oh my goodness, I couldn't look at that deer again. And that's what I think that praying and manifestation do for the mind. It sort of puts that your brain is looking at the other Mini Coopers on the road instead of the other whatever car Jenny had before that. What was that, a Pacer? And and I feel that it takes away, on both senses on both sides of the word, it takes away the personal accountability. You don't get to say, I got this done because I have the skills to get this done, or I have the talent to get this done, or I had the determination to get this done. You got this done because you prayed hard enough, or you thought hard enough about it.
Yes.
You've worked really hard to become whatever it is that you've become, or to learn whatever it is that you've learned. Why wouldn't you want that for yourself? Why wouldn't you want to be able to say, I did this. I did this. So that's my only problem with things like the law of attraction, is that, yes, it gives you a wonderful sense of gratitude. And yes, it reminds you to be present. But it gives away your personal accountability for your own actions and your own intentions.
Yeah, and that really goes for the positive things that happen and the negative things that happen. Is
Exactly.
Again, back to using it as an excuse or being the victim, but also in those times of positivity, not owning up to the fact that you earned it. That's a really great point.
Or that, and the idea, oh, I just didn't pray hard enough, or I just didn't think hard enough. Maybe you just didn't work hard enough.
Yeah.
Or maybe you did and it's not yours. I've worked on drawings for 16 hours at a stretch in art school, and I will never be able to draw. It's not because God hates me, and it's not because I didn't manifest a good drawing.
Yeah.
It's just not how my brain works.
You have some fantastic metaphors, though. I don't know why Jenny was picking on you.
Oh, because that's what we do. That's how Jenny and I roll. It's a sign of it's the law of attraction. See, Jenny manifested this. So I want to thank you guys for having this. I'm sorry. Did you want to say something? I'm like talking.
No, I was just going to actually ask. We apparently like to do intros in reverse. So as you're hopping off, do you mind telling us just who you are and where people can find you?
Oh, yeah.
I saw your bio and it was awesome.
Pardon me?
I said I saw your bio and it was awesome.
Oh, thank you. Okay. I'm Tanya Brianna. I'm the person with the name that nobody could pronounce properly. And I am a CSO for hire. I'm a strategist for small business and freelancers. So I help people figure out what's not going their way and how to get it back on track or where they want to go. That's what I do.
I love
You
it.
said the law of attraction, right?
Pardon me? I
said you
help them manifest money through praying and hard work.
All right. For anybody that's just catching that, there was a tad bit of sarcasm there.
Love it. But if you want to drop your link,
we're not known for sarcasm.
Yeah.
Never.
Well, thanks so much for jumping on. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks. Nice to meet you. And feel free to drop your link for your website in the chat box to the right there. I think we probably should go ahead and wrap up, right?
Yeah. A huge thank you to everybody that's been active in the chat. Shannon, John, Lori, everybody that I'm missing. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all the insights, and we want to keep the conversation going. So feel free to get in touch. We're easy to reach through onewomanshop.com. hello@onewomanshop.com. However you want to get at us. Twitter @onewomanshop.com. And we're here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern with the hot seat. So, Christina, anything else you want to say there?
So all of our recordings are available on YouTube, and we are just kind of officially promoting that channel. So if you guys want to hop over there, subscribe, share videos, that would be fantastic if you enjoyed this one. And if you have any topics you'd like to talk about, definitely feel free to tweet, chat, email, anything. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Thank you. See you soon.